Hey, here's my viola. I'm going to talk about planes or string levels. So having your instrument always in the same position. If you're here, that's going to change the string level of your right arm or the plane of your right arm. And then here, your right arm is in totally a different position. So don't make it bodily confusing to play your instrument. Just do the same thing every time you play. So here's my left arm position for my viola. Here's my A string position for my viola. Here's my D string position. G, C. Now, if I want to use a long bow on my A string, my elbow is able to move because I'm on my A string level. D string, I have to lift my elbow a little from my shoulder. So the elbow lifts at the shoulder, or the shoulder lifts, but you can think of your elbow kind of coming up like a bird wing or something. And the wrist can move in and out with the bow too. Just keep that flexible. G. Your elbow should be up, your arm should be up higher. Or this would be G on the violin. So if you never get your arm up there, you're either going to get a heavy sound because you're pulling the bow down, you're literally dragging it, or you're not going to be able to go very far because you'll have to pull the bow crooked. Or really your elbow is in a position now to move this direction. You haven't situated your elbow up to move this way. The elbow is a hinged joint, like your knee. It can only move one way. It can only do that. So now it's doing this, but that's because I swiveled my shoulder. My shoulder can spin it different directions, but the elbow can only do one thing. So you have to adjust the string level with your shoulder. C string and G for violin way up here so that you can use a long bow. D or G, A string or D string for the viola, and then E string for violin or A string for viola right here. And then for cello and bass, arm come around almost like you're hugging your instrument. So you can swing your arm out and move your bow straight that way. Lower string, same thing, you'll swing your arm a little bit. But it's more as you start to move up towards the D and A string on the cello, or D and G string on the bass, bringing your elbow up around and turning the palm of your hand away from you, and then pushing your bow out. For these long strokes. Okay, I'm going to show you an etude book. You can use really or exercises to practice these, but the easiest thing to do would be to watch in a wardrobe mirror to see if your bow is moving straight, and just do some open strings. Watching my bow right now, so I can't tell if it's moving perfectly straight because looking down at it, it's not a perfect view. It's making my eyes cross. But if it sounds clear versus get some fuzzy noise in there, you're probably moving your bow pretty straight if you're getting a consistent tone throughout. So also just use your ears. If you don't have a mirror, just use your elbow to pull it towards the tip. You'll see that it's moving mostly straight. And use your ear. Does the tone sound nice and consistent? Do a few long bows on each string. that's for string levels. I'm just going to show you maybe one idea of an easy etude book that you could work on. I would just do open strings to start out your practice, whether you're a beginner or a college level, just some open strings. But this would be now for kind of school age, high school. If you're just starting etudes or want to start practicing a little bit more organized, or middle school level, if you're trying to start practicing a little bit more and fix your technique. Etudes or studies, technical studies for improving your bowing, and they are also just patterns that tend to show up in music. So if you work on these a little in your practice, then you get a new song, you pick up on it really quick, and right away as you're learning that song, it starts to turn into more musical. It has more musical meaning faster because the technique is easier for you, so you can make it more musical faster. Here's the etude book I'm looking at. You can get, it's book 1, Wolfert Foundation Studies for Viola. You can also get it for violin. For cello, Schroeder, S-C-H-R-O-E-D-E-R. Or for bass, that's a good book, Loaded with Etudes, Progressive, Easy to More Difficult. And for bass, Simandl, spelled S-I-M-A-N-D-L for bass. But this is just a very good, simple kind of first etude book for violins and violas. So it shows you all the etudes by order on, this is like the glossary page. And then the first one shows you whole bow, middle, point, frog, upper half. So focusing on bow divisions, and then you also have some variants or variations. Slurring the first two, slurring 2 beats, or slurring 2/8 notes, slurring 4/8 notes, slurring 3, and then having to do kind of a quick separated one. So I'm going to do slurring 4 and use that to think of my arm planes or my bow heights and use my elbow. Use that upper half of my bow a little bit more. Not very difficult patterns, scales, and we've got steps, little bits of arpeggios, repetitive, and arpeggios, and some scale patterns in here. Okay, so slurring 4 8th notes. That's just a very moderato tempo, or you could do 2 and do upper half of the bow and focus on a section of the bow. You could also do etudes like this etude. You could also use it as a practice for lower half of the bow, because sometimes violas and violins avoid that part of the bow, and you do need it. You could do lower half and do slur 2. Sounds a little rough. That doesn't really matter. I'm just practicing keeping my arm up and my wrist up at the height to practice lower half of the bow, getting my bow back to the frog all the way. That feels uncomfortable for some violin and viola players, and you can just make it more of a habit by doing it and putting it into your muscle memory skills. All right, that's a whole lot of different stuff on bowing, related and a little bit of tangents, but there you go. My camera is really crooked here. It's in my viola case, which has a weird shape to it, so. But there's my Anouk. Hi Anouk, did you like the video today? Hi honey. All right, goodbye.